right, Luca Nation. I'm just gonna hit that record button. I know the big guy's in a good mood, and I wanted to thank you guys. Tons and tons and tons of comments, Cage, from yesterday's episode. So I'm gonna do something a little bit fun today. We're gonna keep this promotion going. 10 giveaways. Today, Cage was cleaning out his closet like Eminem. If you guys can guess the players that were in Cage's basement when he was cleaning it out, in the comments, we'll give you guys some more white prism. And last week, someone hit a Tua color blast, white sparkle. I apologize. So yesterday, Kobe got 2 rookies. So some fun stuff, and you guys can keep them, sell them, do whatever you want. No strings attached. So 10 people. They guess the players. One's going to be pretty easy, but the others, I don't know.
There's a couple that are easy. One guy had a good game last night.
Ronda Rousey.
Hit some timely threes, played some good defense. Missed a couple free throws down the stretch, which is weird because he's like an 80-something% free throw shooter. Even Steph was missing free throws last night.
You still have him?
I couldn't sell them all. I had a lot. And I want to buy more after watching them because I'm sure they're as cheap as can be right now. Nobody's collecting my dude.
So, guys, we have, amazing Champions League soccer today. Basketball yesterday was off the hook. It's Select release and Panini Black release today. So breakers are doing their thing. Tons of stuff. Shows coming up. Dallas card show in a week. Nashville show this weekend. Philly show in December. Anything. And honestly, I saw a stat that this is the last day with no football for basically the rest of the year. So a lot going on, Cage. And the World Series is starting. So let me popcorn into you. You had a day kind of to yourself. Cleaning out your closet, thinking, going down the nostalgic lane. Which of those topics interest you?
Cleaning out my closet is a good one. You got baseball, you got World Series. I have a question for you, and it leans on everything you just explained there. Cleaning a closet, sports, baseball, shows, you name it. I got 2 messages today.
Oh no.
2 that I want to kind of get your feel for. I'll make them pretty straightforward. I'll tell you both of them, and you can take whichever one you want. Number 1, I messaged somebody who I haven't spoken to in a while because they were putting up for some for sale signs on their story, and I said, hey, what's going on? What are you selling? It's not somebody you see sell that often, and they just a man of few words, even though he gets paid for his spoken word. He just wrote back one word: consolidation. Okay, so there's one topic, consolidation in the hobby, and what's the right way to do it, how do you do it, you name it. And then another message I got, a lengthier one from someone who's been with us since probably day one, was, hey Cage, are you seeing more scamming going on in the hobby and also non-paid items? And I pressed for a little more detail, and for scamming, it seems like trades and buys over Discord, Facebook, buying raw and the cards coming basically just destroyed compared to what the picture looks like, or the person not sending, the item. I saw a couple of other posts today. Be happy with your $23 you got from me. Beware of this scammer that's out there. And the non-paid, items on consignment.
Well, those are three topics, right? One was someone who was consolidating, the other scamming, and the other is non-paid. Right, and I could.
The scamming and non-pay kind of.
Scamming and non-paid are not the same thing.
They were the same message, and
but they're not the same thing.
Well, yes, they're not, but they kind of go together in down markets.
I think more scamming goes on in upward markets. I think it's just a little bit more challenging to scam. I think more scamming happens when actually markets are good, but when markets are bad, there's not as much maybe conversation. So we hear of that stuff a bit more. Which one's the most interesting? I'll go non-paid.
Okay.
I think what drives this hobby is we talk about liquidity, but we talk about liquidity in almost like a black and white subject. Like it's either here or it's not. But the reality is liquidity is more of a spectrum, right? There's times when there's more liquidity and there's times that there's less, and we move along this spectrum. So now, because there's money probably that's got pulled out of the hobby, people aren't as active, they're spending money on other things. We could have like 5, 6, 7 different reasons. The liquidity's still there, but it's at shows. the liquidity's still there, but it has to be exchanged immediately. When you have liquidity on some of these auction houses, and even eBay to an extent, you could bid on something and then almost give it 3 days, a week, 2 weeks before you pay. And it gives you this weird opportunity of kind of, hey, I just bought Mac Jones cards, but I don't have to consummate the payment. I could watch for a little while. And in a market like this, it's going to be more prone to happening for sure.
I've noticed more eBay sellers having a final sale on their listings, consigners, you name it. Like, you can't return this. And I know obviously that's something that can get fought, and somebody puts in this is item not as described, and eBay usually sides with them anyway. But I'm noticing people change that.
I first of all, I came into this episode. I was like, man, we did 840 episodes. Something you guys need to know about me. I've some skills, but I would not have been able to do 840 episodes alone. So I just want to tip my hat to you, man. The consistency is wild. And I think some of the lessons from the consistency of the podcast is how you have to approach consistency of collecting, because there's not always amazing days. Sometimes you're just treading water. But dude, I don't think any of this is any surprise to you. Just human nature, don't you think?
Yeah, but I mean, I guess the next step in the conversation for a podcast, people listening, is one, be aware that this is something that's going on, and two, what do you do about it? How do you prevent yourself from being scammed? What do you do?
Sweat equity.
Okay.
Sweat equity. It sucks because it's so much better when you're laying on your ass and you could just click a button and post on Facebook, and someone gobbles up your card in a second. Yeah, that's amazing, and we all love that. But times like this, sweat equity is what could get you to get that deal instead of someone else, right?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think it's 100% right. Maybe where you transact.
Yep, for sure.
Is also another thing. I mean, look, you can't ever guarantee that someone's going to pay, but obviously, I think the more reputable sites, that are like, go ahead. Looks like
So something I've been thinking a lot about that came from the sales industry, Cage, was CRMs, right? So think about all
Salesforce stock.
Yeah, but like all CRM is like Cage Lawyer buys Hank Aaron cards, Mickey Mantles and Jordans, Cajun cardboard, 90s inserts, and all the way down the list. And then you have, the person, the contact, and their interests. Mm-hmm. In a market like this, you could still be an online dealer. So you have all these relationships with people you've sold cards to in the past. So maybe you have to do a little bit more outbound outreach. If you remember, oh, he loves Halan. Let me say, hey, I got this Halan card. I got to move it. I know you're a big Halan collector. Here's what I could do for you.
I think community comes into play. So where I go with it is this. Before the huge boom of cards, I mean, I was in a small niche UFC card collecting community with,
what platform?
50, 100 people. There was a site called buymmacards.com. No baloney. Buymmacards.com. I don't even know if the site still exists. It was run by a guy named Robert Ollinger out of Iowa. Raleigh, R. Ollie was kind of like his screen name. And so anyway, I was on there. We got a lot of people who were on there. I mean, Luis, who you've met, we have Tiger holders, people who are cigar stuff, are people who know me from there and have come over. Yes, it doesn't even exist anymore. But anyway, what was great about that was exactly what you're talking about, right? One, it's a built-in vouch scenario, right? And Facebook groups are like this today, right? I mean, it's a built-in situation where you're supposed to know who these people are and blah, blah, blah. And, people know who you're dealing with. But what made it good for me was I was a huge breaker of product. Like, that was what I did. It was gambling. It was slot machines.
You're a big breaker? You're a big gambler like that?
Product, yeah. I mean, the finest that we see, with Conor McGregor's finest autos, gold, and a whole deal, 2013 finest bloodlines. I mean, I was opening 15, 20 cases myself on opening day. Just opening, just
with
breaking
the hope of grading?
No, I didn't grade a goddamn thing. I mean, I graded a couple of like vintage 09 stuff with Beckett.
But it was sunk cost?
I'll tell you what it was. It was all my money, and I had fun doing it. But because of the community, I knew who the Nate Diaz collector was. Mm-hmm. I knew who the George St. Pierre collector was. I knew who collected Amanda Nunes at the time, which was, got me $1 a card. It's amazing, the come up that she had, right? The Stipe Miocic. I knew the people who collected in each of the BJ Penn, you name it. And basically, before I was breaking stuff, I knew when I was done, I'd have a stack of BJ Penn, stack of Nate Diaz, stack of Nick Diaz, stack of Anderson Silva, and I'd message the person and say, all right, this is what I got in all my cases. Here's my price for all of it. It was almost like doing player breaks for people without having to post the break online and the whole deal. And yeah, we'd haggle over the price a little bit. And those people weren't gambling as much because they knew what I hit. Now, that also worked out for me because if I hit, George St. Pierre, Matt Auto out of 10, that person was paying a lot more than they probably would have paid to get in on a break. So it worked out nice. I knew going in that I was going to get back the vast majority of what I spent on the breaks. First of all, people couldn't find the product. You know what I mean? Like it just wasn't a lot of it, and that was one of the cooler things. But I think a lot of that, like soccer, is a good example, right? There are people who break soccer. There's soccer groups. There's like a soccer community, right? I think if you're going to be trading and buying in the soccer community, you're not just looking to go buy on auctions. Getting into, a couple of soccer groups where you know everybody, you know who collects what, probably makes it easier for trading. Probably makes it easier for someone's breaking a product you're not breaking. They hit a guy you collect. You happen to have someone they collect, boom, we have a trade. Like I think this is probably
when COVID started, what was your collection worth?
Before COVID, my collection, I came in with a $78,000 budget of my collection. That was what I brought in.
So you guys just heard Cage saying he was selling Amanda Nunez for $1.
Yeah, buck.
Now let me give you guys a Cageism, because he was just doing that with Panini Direct. And I'll tell you why this matters. It's because doing the boring shit sometimes is just doing the boring stuff.
Yeah, a buck.
And sometimes we think that that's below us. And I honestly think it's below me, if we're being frank.
Meanwhile, I'm selling all my Devin Vassell for a buck. That's what you're talking about.
But it adds up.
Yep.
It adds up. It adds up. And then when you do get that great deal, so you would have sold $600 worth, right? 600. If you were $1.50, $2 or $2, $3, it's $600. But that next play comes around, and maybe that's the 600 that you need.
Yep.
And it's doing that little boring stuff in times like this that can carry you forward when times are good. So that's a Cageism.
I mean, there's a lot of them. You have to be having fun with it too. I mean, look, I was not making a killing on it, but I was enjoying opening the product, getting it on opening day, basically posting my hits, and look, even then, I sold. You could look her up. Look up Paige Van Zandt. Paige, Paige Van Zandt. So you dated her.
Not really close. So there's a girl that just moved into this apartment complex. Her name's Myra. She's a UFC fighter, and she trained. I'll tell you in a sec. Myra Shitara.
Okay.
You know who that is?
No.
Myra UFC. I'll tell you who it is. No, Myra Bueno Silva. This young girl. She just moved into this complex.
Nice.
I was running and I saw her. She has they have a rack for all their UFC gloves to air out. I know where you thought I was going, but that's not where I was going. I was like, oh, and I was like, yo, UFC? Like,
yeah.
So sorry.
Look up Paige Van Zandt, VanZandt. So I remember when Knockout, I think it was a 2014 Knockout came out. On the opening day, I hit her rookie matte 1 of 1. It was a blue card. It was made of the matte material that was there. Well, the first thing that pops up is what? That she's doing what now?
This chick?
Yeah, Paige Van Zandt. So she was not that great at the UFC. She did a little bare knuckle boxing, and now I think she does, I don't know, OnlyFans or something like that. But anyway, I got that hit. I posted it. Topps posted it. Wow, the product hit is out on that day. You could probably find it on my Twitter because I don't delete anything. It's probably there 2000, like 8 years ago. I sold that card for $2,000. It's probably worth $50 right now. So, sometimes you do okay on people that don't pan out. It's like, Jalen Hurts eventually. People are selling his cards for thousands of dollars, and next season they'll be worth $50.
Relax. Speaking of not working out, this is actually...
Yeah, I don't work out. I have Chick-fil-A. I got McDonald's on the way,
50
actually.
pounds. Be proud of yourself.
60, 59. I haven't lost 60 yet. I'm close.
So when times are challenging is when you have to be positive. When everything's good is kind of when you have to be a little bit... Now, be a little nicer to yourself. It's okay. That's for the whole hobby. in terms of making
We
money.
should all be nicer to ourselves. I agree with
Not
that.
on the internet, in person, I meant.
Not
on the
you.
internet,
I mean,
be crazy.
you beat yourself. I mean, you tell me all the time, I
But
got to go beat myself up.
Klay and Booker.
Speaking of beating each other up.
What was your impression? What was your take when you saw that?
It looked fake. It looked fake. It looked like, and it was a close-ish game, but it looked like the Suns were having their way.
It looked fake?
Yeah, it looked like Klay was trying to rile up the team a little bit. It looked like he was trying to get some momentum going, start to get some energy going there. It looked contrived. Is that a better word? It looked like he was doing it to
staged.
Huge smile from Draymond. I mean, Draymond was loving every minute of it, But what's funny is the announcer, I listened to it again because I couldn't believe the way it sounded, but I paused it and went back. They're like, oh, they're throwing him out. Oh, it's Klay. They thought for a second they were throwing out Steph, and the announcers were beside themselves. But when they found that it was Klay, they're like, it's just Klay. It's Klay. But they should shut up because it was a close game, and Klay gets thrown out, and boom, the Suns went nuts. And what's funny about it is I don't trust the Suns, but they won 64 games last year. I mean, they're a great regular season team, but why do that? This is a team that clearly is I don't want to call it fractured, but this is the kind of thing that might galvanize those guys. It did in yesterday's game, and they started to stomp the Warriors after that happened. Maybe more. This is the one thing I don't love about the Suns. They don't play like a team. They don't look like a good coach team. They look like a bunch of players out there, not a unit. This is the kind of thing that turns a bunch of talented guys into a unit. Wrong? Different read?
I love ball because that LeBron conversation we had 2 days ago got our Discord popping off more than anything else. So, a good basketball argument, we could watch the same game and see different things. So, I had a few points.
Cool.
One, Poole is so exciting, but he makes so many bad decisions.
Yeah, but he's young. You got to hope that the excitement stays and the decision-making gets better.
What's cool about the decision-making is he could get to the rim, he could pull up for three, but he's also a really good passer. So that is exciting. The Warriors are going to get their best shot from everybody. When you're the champion, the first 20, 25 games, you're going to get the best shot. And I said it last year. I won't say that this game is a definitive proof to that, but the Warriors are lucky the Mavs were the ones that they faced in the Western Conference Finals and not the Suns. The Suns are a much more difficult matchup for the Warriors. But man, the refs ruined that game. That was an awesome game. It was
much more competitive
regular season game. And schedule. We always say the NBA is not competitive. There was a whole regular season's not competitive. This has been a very competitive first week of basketball, and that was one of the best first week games I've ever seen. And there was nothing there to throw Klay out. There wasn't even actually.
I'm pretty sure it's what he said to the ref, which we won't know. But I'm pretty sure the ref got in there and he already had a technical. I'm pretty sure he said something.
But let me go this route.
Yeah,
you throw him out by the rules, but you take a great game, a classic. It was actually a classic in the making, dude. The lead changes. It was just beautiful basketball, and you turned it into a blowout with one decision. And here's why it matters in basketball. When you kick someone out that early in the third, the bench isn't ready, and everyone else on the Suns is worked up. So no way you could match the intensity. So they're just going to get blitzed, and that's what happened. They went on at the point when Klay got dismissed, they scored the exact same amount of field goals and the exact same amount of threes. The only difference in the game was literally foul shots. The Suns had 17 more points in fouls.
I was a little surprised by the Suns' offense down the stretch. Number 11. I don't even know who the hell it is.
Number 11.
Big white guy on the Suns. You watched it?
Like a German or a Polak or some shit.
They ran the offense through him. They literally ran down the stretch. They were running the offense through him. You got Chris Paul. You got Devin Booker. I don't even know the guy's name. You can look it up. But they were running and it was working. And it's because I think what they found is Wiseman's still a project. Kuminga is not. When you get Ayton in there, you get this other tall dude in there. The weak spot where you can attack Golden State is on the boards on the inside.
Jock Landale, center from
Landale, that's it. Yeah,
from Australia.
They ran the offense through him in the fourth quarter. No, I mean that's exactly what was going on. I watched every play of the game. I watched the Dallas game before it. Give New Orleans Pelicans a little credit. No Zion, no no Ingram, and they still took out Luka. They still took out Dallas. First 2 games of the season, they weren't losing for a minute. Their only loss is an overtime loss, and now they beat Dallas also. 3-1, but only loss being an overtime loss. And, Ingram and Zion out, and they still pull it together. I like McCollum. I like the dude's leadership skills out there. That team, it's a fun one to watch. It's a fun one to watch. Devontae, baby!
So, okay, guys that play under the rim, right? Like Luka, he's susceptible to, a sprained ankle, right?
Yeah.
Ja, he's flying. He's susceptible to a whole bunch of shit. If we're just talking, insurance, you're an insurance guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you were to insure individual players, Zion would have the highest premium because he could get injured in so many different ways.
I mean, second highest.
Who would be first?
Anthony Davis, based on his injury
history. Touche.
I'm not insuring that guy.
But I was just thinking about this because it's not that I don't want him to succeed. I'm like, man, I just feel like because he's so big, because of how he plays, and because he's a high flyer, but he's
Look at that injury. Look, he's out. He jumped up and fell awkwardly on his back. I mean, it wasn't
that happens all the time in basketball. But because he's 300 pounds, that's like a broken tailbone. What if that's jaw? It's like
100% correct. I agree with you. What did I tell you? You should buy some Zions. I was like, I'm gonna wait till a couple weeks into the season when he's missing games, and I'll buy him then. And it didn't take a couple weeks; it took a couple games.
The Ben Simmons Harden trade is looking so bad for the Nets. Ben Simmons has the worst contract in the NBA. He's averaging 5 points a game, 5 fouls a game.
I said this to you. I said, hey, can Ben turn it around? Because he's got as many points as he has fouls. And you're like, he doesn't have to turn it around. He's not going to turn it around. This is what he is. This is what you said. This is what he is. And I'm like, okay, I guess that's the end of that conversation. Ben Simmons is who he is. Nothing else to be said.
He's going to go down as one of the most interesting projects ever to be in the NBA because he won Rookie of the Year as a sophomore and passed up a dunk, didn't play for a year, forced his way to get traded, refused to play in the playoffs, and this is going to be the year where we realize who he is.
I mean, because of injuries, it took this guy a little longer too, but I mean, Embiid figured it out. I'm not comparing him to Ben Simmons, but, is there any reason why Ben Simmons doesn't, figure it out? He just sucks. He doesn't have talent.
Well, so this guy did a great video. I don't know the account on YouTube, but it's a mental thing with him, brother. It's not a physical thing. It's just at some point he decided he's going to stop shooting and just stopped attempting to shoot. So now all of his plays on offense are dribble handoff screens. You guys can watch it. I would say 80% of his plays are where he runs near the foul line and turns 90 degrees, sets a pick for his player and does a dribble handoff for Kyrie or Durant. And then because he's basically ineffective anywhere else in the offense, he's so aggressive on defense that he just fouls. So it's such a weird dynamic. I've never seen an NBA player like this.
So what happens? He just gets benched?
I mean, dude, it's an unstoppable force meets an immovable object. There's these terrible contracts all over the league, and it's we're already committed so much money, but this guy sucks so much, Westbrook and Simmons. What do we do? We've committed so much money, but he might actually be worse by playing. It might be addition by subtraction by asking them to stay home. So a lot of interesting stuff. Any final words before we wrap up?
Ben Simmons. So, yeah, I mean, how about the consolidation topic? Right? Just some quick stuff. How does that work in your brain?
I want to know who it was.
I'm not. No.
Do I know this person?
Yes. I can't, betray that confidence. But just basically, I guess my question for you is consolidation. Is there a way for our audience to get a benefit from talking about it?
Yeah, get some deals. Have cash. Don't be take some chances. I don't know.
Those are all valid. How about this? I would think when people with big collections start to consolidate, they probably are going to be paring down the pieces of their collection that are not what they consider core assets, right? That when they consolidate it, I'm going to be selling things that are not when I go through. It's exactly what I'm doing in my basement, right? I'm going through, okay, I don't really need this one. Okay, I don't really need this one. This one I'm keeping. This one, you're constantly doing that. This particular individual is a sports fan, but was listing a Pokemon card for sale. same stuff, right? So I guess my
You're
thought
not
process.
a buyer.
Well, this particular one I might be actually, but so here's
Is it
the
as hard?
no. It was a red cheeks Pikachu. I'm really
You love that
narrowing it
little
down.
Pikachu. You love that little
Yeah, a
Pikachu.
little Pikachu. I
Top
do red cheeks.
44 in a PSA 10.
Yeah, it's
in
like
Pop
200.
Infinity in PSA 9, 8, 7, 6.
That's true.
But this is a really nicely centered, and this Pikachu has 2 red cheeks.
Yeah, the red cheeks are. But
It's
anyway,
not like
so
the Pikachu right next to it with 2 yellow cheeks.
I guess my thought process on it is soccer, golf, F1, Pokemon, things that sports collectors, flippers, investors, people who have been, in the hobby the last couple, if they're looking to consolidate, because they also want dry powder, they also want to look for deals in the next 6 months. I think those are the things that they bought in the last couple of years that don't exactly fit square in the core of their PCs. And those are the first things that they're going to sell. I probably said this a dozen times as we were working our way up. And I said, be careful holding those non-core, non-sports, fringe sport things, because those are the first things people are going to sell. And my thought is, at least from what I'm seeing, is if that's your thing, you're probably going to be able to get some bargains on it.
But Pokemon is not fringe to someone else.
But it is fringe to the people who got in. So I think you're going to see sports people selling.
Sure, selling Chicken Little run, sky's falling. I mean, I could go that route.
Yeah, but it's not a sky's falling. In great markets, Pokemon people are buying, and sports people are also buying Pokemon. Now, in a lesser market, the Pokemon people, sure, they're still buying, maybe less, but the sports people are not buying Pokemon. So there's more out there. When there's more supply out there, you usually can get some better prices on it.
Yeah, well, but the issue isn't it that we've developed bad habits, that it's been very easy, and now to do things in the hobby, you have to move around. And
I don't have bad habits at all. I don't know what you're talking about.
What is ew, why are you doing that?
What? I don't have a bad habit at all. None.
People on audio have no idea. But like,
I was picking my nose for the people who just listen on audio.
Like, you have to work a little harder. You have to find other ways to add value. You have to add revenue streams. You have to provide a service and charge for it. Like, if you can't make money in cards, there's still ancillary ways to make money around cards, and then use that money to buy some of these awesome deals. That's where my brain goes. Or what's you're saying? Like, hey, you guys out there who have bought ancillary stuff, sell it?
Yeah, that's part of it. Or the people who collect certain things realize that I think over the next couple of months, people are going to be consolidating, and those certain things you collect are going to be the pieces that sports flippers start to liquidate.
If Cage was if this was the stock market, Cage would be a short. Cage would be a short. You would short the markets.
I hardly bet unders. I'm always an overbetter. I like being long on these things. It's just part of my genetics. I'm long.
But you're like sell Aaron Judge. So that's a short. Short
the
Judge.
Yeah, but that's risk management. That's not that is I'm not short the market. I'm short things that get too far ahead of their skis.
Which is what people in the shorts
do. Selective. People with shorts are usually short the whole market. I'm going to be short
like short stock, like the short Tesla stock, because it got ahead of its skis, i.e. Aaron Judge.
Yeah, but that's just one thing, and I didn't short it. I didn't do it myself. What I'm telling people is, if you have those cards, I would be selling now.
You can't short the card.
And how about this for the people who stayed with us for a half an hour, because you like to give value? Andrew called me today, and he's like, "Hey, you want to skip the episode?" And I'm like, "Hey, when would I ever say the affirmative to that?" He was, of course, joking, but I don't skip anything. But he has some value a half an hour, and you can bring the curtains down on this one. Sell your damn Jalen Hurts. Sell Hurts. Yeah, people. Sell your Hurts. He may win a little more. He may win some stuff. He may win a couple more games. But if you actually think Jalen Hurts is going to win the Super Bowl this year, which is basically baked into his prices right now.
How about, since you can't short the card market, what would you be buying?
So what have I started buying? So it's funny. I sold Devin Vassell cards by mistake because I didn't even realize I had them listed. But I started making a lot of offers on his cards because I watched a couple games of him and he looks really good. I would be buying basketball players like that who are kind of still under the radar. You probably don't have a week on that guy because if he continues to average 20 points a game.
You want to hear a little conspiracy theory I heard on a podcast?
Ooh, yeah.
So the NBA wants to kind of get rid of tanking.
Mhm.
So they're going to reward the teams that do it right. And this person who knows somebody who's connected in the NBA thinks that the Spurs are going to get that first pick and get Wanyama because they're an organization that does things the right way. Not my words. Do not yell at Andrew for this one.
I mean, listen, people think that the Knicks were given Patrick Ewing in the lottery also.
It was a folded ticket. Even I know that.
So, people, I mean, look, I can't tell you whether stuff like that happens or not. The Spurs getting Wembanyama, I got to tell you, I think Wembanyama is going to be a bust.
You're so annoying. Guys, do you have more respect for me after seeing this episode of what I've had to deal with for 841 episodes? Every quarter, it's a sky is falling. Everybody's a bust. Everybody sucks. Sell Hurts. Sell Judge. Wembanyama sucks.
So I didn't say he sucks. I didn't say he sucks. I say he's gonna be a bust from a card perspective. 100%.
That's worse.
Here's why. Because it's Justin Herbert, man. It's the same thing. This is what we do, the same thing over and over again. And you, instead of people coming out and respecting you because of what you have to deal with, baby.
Because your sky is falling every quarter.
Dude, you'll make the same friggin' mistake. Go ahead and make the mistake. You don't even listen. Instead, you just want to argue with me. But if you listen to me, you'd have some money. I know you like to live without money.
Let me go. My little.
It's resin hits from the bong only for you this week because you have no money for the guac at Chipotle. No, listen to me. Don't buy Herbert. I'm the only person who said don't buy Herbert. Only person. Please go back. You'll find dozens of episodes where I say it is dangerous to be buying Justin Herbert at these prices because it's built in so much success. And if he does anything below that, his cards are going to go down. Yeah, dude. Well, listen, My Little Orphan was a bad one. But it is what it is. I mean, when you have hundreds of thousands of dollars extra, you put those in there. But Wembanyama, his price is going to be too high when they come out.
How do you not understand?
Yes.
You telling me to sell Justin Herbert does not make me money because I don't have Justin Herbert.
I'm not telling you, dum-dum. I'm telling the people who have him.
This is a card market. You can't short it. So what can you buy that you think is a good buy?
There are people
Sell Judge. Sell.
No. Judge could be a good buy very soon, actually. Judge could actually be a very good buy now because look where his prices have come down to. So Judge, believe it or not, who was a sell a month ago, now he's at a horrible point, right? The dude was like 0 for 172, but he's going to be in the news again because he's going to get signed. He's either going to go to San Francisco. He's going to be on the Yankees again. They're going to, all of a sudden, it's going to be, Judge again. Could be on the Dodgers.
This isn't an episode where we basically led you guys to water. I don't know what it is.
Judge could be a buy, man.
Drink, Luca Nation, drink.
Baseball is a buy right now. Baseball is, no one's looking at buying baseball. You pick your guy. Pick somebody who is a Freddie Freeman, right, who's on the Dodgers, who are going to be playing meaningful games next year, and his cards are coming down in price a little bit. Don't buy Bryce Harper right now. Buy Bryce Harper when I told you to a year ago. Don't buy him now, right? Don't buy Bryce Harper now.
Cage, do you think in a world where news travels so fast and it's sports bet and get your answer today if you won or lost and stocks, day trading, cards are still on that same, you still have to think 6, 9, 12 months ahead?
I think you have to switch it up a little bit because everybody is doing that. Everybody thinks, I'll just buy in the off season and sell in the season and blah, blah, blah. The off season's changed, but yeah, to a certain extent, I'd be looking at Juan Soto cards, right? I'd be looking at Juan Soto cards because he just lost. He didn't exactly have a great season with San Diego, but he's going to come back next year. Tatis only misses 20 games. Because they played so many playoff games, his suspension was cut down by those games. They only missed 20 games. So Tatis will be back in April of next year. That team obviously is very good. They'll probably add a piece or two from the pitching standpoint. And people will be like, Soto again. And that's a dude who already has a World Series and was good in the World Series. I'd be looking at that because
he's a great hitter.
Nobody's looking at that, right? He just got eliminated. Everyone's looking at, basketball cards.
Can I tell you guys a card that I really like? Soto had this Stadium Club auto, on-card auto. It's a gorgeous card. It's $200. I saw it at the show. I'll see if I can pull it up.
I mean, listen, there's a cool one with the Gatorade. It's like splashing all over. It's a short print and that kind of stuff. I mean, that's what I'd be looking at. But you're right. I mean, you have me pegged. I'm like the contrarian player. Like, I buy stuff after they've been beaten down. I buy stuff when it's been beaten down a little too much. And the player has to have some success. It's a cool card. Stadium Club is just great photography. Look at that.
So it's a
Him
Stadium
standing
Club.
there.
Yeah, Stadium Club out of 50.
Wow.
$4.99 our best offer.
Yeah, that's a red foil right there.
It's a cool card, right?
Yeah, all Stadium Club is just beautiful. Stadium Club, that's, I mean, I hope it's something that doesn't go away because, I mean, I've been collecting that since I was a kid, and it's always been the best photography on cards. It always is. That's a nice card, too. And so cheap. But, yeah, I mean, look, that's my thing. That's why Bryce Harper made sense. That's why, believe it or not, Jalen Hurts in the beginning of the season, not because he had been a failure leading up to this, but because his prices had not run the way that everybody else's had. So, I mean, in football, I mean, what's funny is I might buy Mac Jones. I might be a buyer of Mac Jones because everyone's just dumping this week. It's get rid of Mac Jones. You probably find a Mac Jones bargain, and guess what? It's still the Patriots. And, stranger things happen, man. Mac Jones might be – I'm not saying go invest – millions of dollars in it, but you could probably find some Mac Jones bargains right now and put a little sprinkle, as Andrew said, sprinkle a little Mac Jones exposure. And, even, dare I say, if you can find a Herbert, somebody looking to sell Herbert, I'd be watching Herbert this season and in the offseason. If that team doesn't make the playoffs and you got people panicking, looking to get out on Herbert and sell really, just to get out because they were wrong, people do it. There's, overreactions. At the right price, I'd be a Herbert buyer. It's not that I have a problem with Herbert as a player. It's that I had a problem with Herbert's prices. That's the difference with me. I mean, you think I attack Giannis. Giannis is a fantastic player, probably the best player in the league. But I don't want to buy his cards at the prices that they were at.
Do you think parity hurts card prices?
Yes and no, right? You want somebody dominant. You want somebody who you can, who is bankable and investable. But parity allows a more widespread investment base. Like, you can actually put it out there and put your money into it. But
I think most people would agree. This is the most talented NBA I've ever seen, and especially at the top echelon. So that's actually what I'm asking about with the parity. Like, there's so many good stars to invest in the NBA that it's almost like there is no one.
Yep, I agree with that. But I mean, what's fun there is. Let's take it back down a notch because we're talking about who you invest in and who you're going to buy.
Turn it up a notch. You're Emerald.
Turn the other way.
Down.
No, I mean, listen, there'll always be sort of, way to prospect. There's always going to be a way to try to, buy something and sell it later on. But what I'm doing with my own collection is every single card I own, I think to myself, is this something that I really want to own? Or something I want to collect? And then if it's a no, the second question is, where are my exits? What's a good exit? What's a bad exit? What's a potential exit on these cards? That's what I do with my cards right now. Because, I mean, it's supposed to be a hobby. It's supposed to be something you collect. It's supposed to be fun. And I'm proud of you. Because I said Juan Soto, you didn't say, well, let's find the Topps Dynasty RP. Let's get the red ink heritage. Let's get the, gold. You said, I happen to see a cool Stadium Club auto of his that was only $200. That's a collector's way of going after some Juan Soto. And if he does well next year and the team does well, that $200 auto will probably be $500. And you've bought a card you liked that also has appreciated. But if it doesn't, you don't mind because you spent $200 and it's a cool card you like on a player that you like. That's more of the hobby. That's more of where I see the rest of this year and early next.
With you from opening 15 cases on opening day, backyard cage, to collector cage now?
Yeah, I mean, I was able to get cases for less than $1,000. 8-box cases for less than $1,000 in 2012, 2013. So even though I was opening 15 cases, I was spending $12,000 on 15 cases. Now I'd be spending that on a couple of cases. So the difference is I knew going in ripping because of the network that I had and the people who I knew who were going to buy certain, fighters, that I had a chance to really make money. I had very little chance to lose money because of the price point that I was buying those cases at. But overproduction, people coming in, prices going up of wax and making it harder to buy. And, all of a sudden, if you if you play quarter slots and you know that the jackpot is $1,000, but you're putting in a quarter, you can win $1,000, right? Cherries, blah, blah, blah. If you took the jackpot screen and moved it over to the machine next to it, same jackpot, same $1,000, same price for the cherries, but you raised the price of that slot machine to a $5 machine. All you did was move over one chair. You went from the quarter machine to a $5 machine with the exact same jackpots. That's the hobby.
And that's another episode.
So thank you all for listening to another episode of Lucas, Tigers, and Bronzo Mai. I wanted to tell you about a new service that we have starting as of today, and I'm really, really excited to bring it to you guys. So as a part of our partnership with SGC, we got 50 free submissions every single month, and many of you have taken advantage of that. And it's amazing that we could have the opportunity to 650 episodes, 675 episodes in, to go ahead and give back to our community. As people were sending those cards in, they asked, can we send 5, 10, 20 more cards to you guys? We'll pay for it, but we wanted them graded with SGC. You guys know SGC is turning cards around in 13 to 14 business days, have incredible customer service, and their secondary market values are going up day after day after day. And that's exciting for the hobby and exciting for the grading landscape. So we didn't want to just rush into it. We wanted to do it right. And what we did was I relocated here to Boca Raton, Florida. I opened up a P.O. box maybe 5 minutes away from SGC, and I will be hand delivering and hand picking up the cards. So you don't have to worry about anyone else touching your cards. It will be me, and I will update you every step of the way. So here's how it's going to work. I'm going to personally pick up the cards from a P.O. box, prep them, new card saver, new penny sleeve, and deliver them to SGC every single Tuesday. Why Tuesday? Well, it lets the stragglers over the weekend come back through on Monday and gives me a day to prep, and it basically gives SGC the entire week to work on grading those cards. Once your cards pop, only then at the end of the process will you be paying for the service. It's $25 per card, simple as that, and the turnaround times have never been faster. We're hearing right now 13, 14, less than 20 business days. So there it is. 9170 Glades Road, number 135 is the P.O. Box in Boca Raton, Florida, 33434. 9170 Glades Road, number 135, Boca Raton, Florida, 33434. Of course, you could shoot me an email or shoot me a text anytime, and I'm always available. Many of you already have my email. It's iamandrewgoldberg@gmail.com. or my cell phone number, 215-519-9154. Reach out with any questions. I could walk you through the process. I've hopped on the call with quite a few of you, and I'm happy to do that. Love you, Luca Nation.